Let's talk herd. So do you feel that you are, you know how people talk about star seeds and people who've come from other systems to help on Earth, and have you gone into any of that, or do you resonate with any of that?
No, I haven't, because I really like Earth. I like this place. I'd like to come from here if I could choose. It's like I don't mind if we're born again and again.
That's true. Yeah,
I like that idea. I don't really feel the need to leave.
Well, there's a lot here, isn't there?
Yes, it is. So I'm quite, and it's definitely enough to deal with. So I'm sure there are more to this reality than this one planet. But because it is so unique and it's so much happening here, I prefer to put my focus into going deeper into that, actually. At least for the short time that we're here.
So to you, with the horses, is that really mainly what you do now? Communicating with them and sharing that?
Yes, yes. It's I moved to this farm in 1995, and I was 21.
Wow, that's
and since then it has grown over time. Yeah. It started with like 3. Yes, it started with like 3 horses and 2 cows and 2 cats and a dog, and now it's like 164 animals. Or what?
That's amazing! Wow.
Yes, because it's sheep and goats, and it's all sorts of animals. So of course there is lots to do just on a farm level. And then about 3 days a week, I go to different places to either meet people's animals to try to understand their situation. Or to work with these type of riding lessons where you take away the concept of obedience. And then since 2018, we also have courses here. Because the horses, I guess, again, you need a lot of time to heal. And between 95 and 2018, these horses really didn't have much interest in meeting anyone. But then after they came to a different place within themselves, and I guess that's for us as well, when we come to another stage of self-knowledge and healing, we come to a level where we want to, I wouldn't say level, but a place where we need to share our stories. And sharing the stories then meant that people can come here and practice this empathic communication with them. So it's quite full on because it's the courses, and but we don't do that. The horses will definitely never be available on a daily basis.
No.
So
how do you do that with people?
We just follow the horses in initiative. And the first exercise that they do on the basic course is running over a period of 2 years. And they meet in weekends once a month in the summer season. Or from April to November, because Sweden is too cold in the winter to be outside, and the horses refuses to be inside. So, and I think it's good that we adapt to them. Rather than the other way around. So, and the very first exercise is that the humans have to wear a blindfold. And so half of the group is wearing blindfolds, and half of the group is sort of holding the space. So that if you wear a blindfold, you don't need to worry about being trampled on or pushed or because you need to focus on your state of being. And it's also important that we practice holding the room for each other. Not every exercise is for me. I'm also maintaining the room for the exercise to take place. Because you can't do a course like this and expect to get something. that would go against the whole idea. So, and then in that state of being blindfolded and being with these horses, you ask the question, who are you? And that is not based on knowing which color you have or trying to guess which of the horses it is, but to try to reach to the essence of really being curious enough to really wish to sort of touch the glimpse of the other one. And the other question is, who am I? And that question is not asked to myself by myself, but it's asked to the horses. How do they see me?
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And then you can say that all the other exercises that we do over these 2 years, they are based on this concept, but just from different angles.
Wow. Yeah. That's beautiful, isn't it?
And we practice trying to understand different roles in a herd instead of having one leader. If we sit on a horse for the horses that wants to offer that, how can we make, like you say, how can we go into this vulnerability and try to retrain our bodies from this control that most of us have learned.
It's very profound,
to actually to give ourselves to the horse. So I would say that it's quite a difficult training because you can't. There are no guarantees.
No.
You can't say that you will come out with something in the end.
No, exactly.
You can't actually pronounce or define what you're going to learn.
No.
So it's really not like any other course.
No. And do you have quite a lot of people?
Yes. For the first course, the horses took in 30 people. It's them who take them in.
Okay.
People who are interested have to send a letter, and then I read all the letters with the horses.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yes. And I thought that 30 people would be too much, and I panicked because with all my issues from growing up, I will never finish my own healing process. I'm quite aware of that. And one of my fears is talking to groups of people.
Yeah.
So when the horses brought on 30 people, I thought I was going to die. And the whole idea that how can I make all these 30 people happy? The horses have, of course, no need at all to keep anyone happy. That's my problem.
That's
but
wonderful.
then we realized as the course went along that it's really good that there are so many people. I mean, it's almost 70 horses and 30 people. So it means that the constellations are constantly changing. You're not with the same person in 2 exercises. You're not with the same horse. So because we all the time, I think you mentioned it also, how we're stuck in our identities. We want to get attached to everything all the time. And when you have so many people, and we don't start with people telling who they are. We don't give any names. We don't say, well, this is my name and this is what I do. We have no idea who we're working with.
That's great. Yeah.
To not go into this, putting ourselves into, fractions of status and popularity. And
exactly.
You can see them trying to do that in the lunch breaks, but then, soon enough there will be an exercise.
Yeah. Wow.
So having big groups of people with big groups of horses, actually, from that aspect, turn out to be very efficient.
Amazing. Yeah.
And then normally perhaps 1 or 2 will not continue because it's not what they wanted, or they found what they actually needed to find, and that's why they were there.
Wow.
So we only start a new group every 2nd year.
Okay.
And then when the first group had done their 2nd year, they wanted to continue. And then I thought, well, why can't they continue actually? So I asked the horses.
Thing.
Yes, it's a lifetime thing. So some people have done 5 years. And you see that the more time you spend practicing, it makes sense. It's like you say, it's a lifetime practice. It's more like how a monk in a monastery would continue to meditate throughout life.
Exactly.
It's not, you don't reach a goal, but you can sort of feel after whatever number of years that this is, I'm fine. This is what I need now. I will take it out into my life.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. It sounds
and
amazing.
there are no rules that you have to continue. If you want to quit halfway, then you're always free to go.
It's just like the horses.
Yes.
Yeah, that freedom. Yeah, that's great.
And it's like about 200 applicants for these 30 places.
Wow, that's amazing.
So we're thinking about, because some of these horses that are teachers now, they are in their 30s. Many of them are quite old.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to document their stories and also their energy to some extent. So we're thinking to make, not in a professional way at all, but to make some sort of video online things that we can at least record their teachings. So because we can't just take everyone into courses constantly, because we need to maintain the space and the integrity and the level of freedom for the horses in between meeting humans. So I'm thinking if some of the stories could start to be shared in online concepts, then at least people have a beginning point.
Yeah, that's a great idea, yeah.
So I bought this little sort of thing that you can put your phone on with little feet, so you can put them on
like
trees.
And, yes. Yeah, I bought one like that.
So my next project is to put myself in the field and cling my phone onto somewhere and see if the horses want to sort of, if we can do something with that concept. Just so, because not at all to be commercial, because this is very far from being commercial, and we really don't charge much for the courses either, because that just doesn't resonate with me. You need to charge something, because there is a wheel that needs to go around, but it shouldn't be for the money, because that is then something completely different.
Exactly, yeah.
Because again, there needs to be a sense of generosity, otherwise, because we don't own this.
Yeah. Do you find that is a conflict? I find that a lot for me personally, that to do what I love it's hard to find the financial support for that in the way our society is set up.
Yeah.
So it's a whole journey for me that I feel I'm on.
Yeah, I feel that too. And I've tried different angles on it.
Yes.
I remember in the beginning, I mean, I was only 21 when I moved here, and I panicked about everything. I mean, I'm quite a neurotic type of person. So, and still the longing to do it is always stronger. So I do things even if I'm scared. And I was really scared, because I had to pay the bill for the hay, and I didn't have enough money. It was this usual. And then I was feeding my cows when this happened. And I don't know if it came from the cows or if it came from somewhere else, but I could clearly hear, you're not here to run a business. You're here to listen to animals. You do what you need to do, and you will get what you need to have. And that was so strong, it just came so strong through me in a way that it became true to some level. And then I focused more on, okay, I need to just focus on doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and trust that will provide me with what I need. And it's the trust part that is hard.
The faith.
Because it works for as long as I trust. And it's so funny, because then we lose trust, because we're humans, right? We lose trust every 5 minutes. So we lose trust, and this works brilliantly. And then I lose trust because a bill comes in or something else happens. And always when it's like that, and perhaps I think, okay, good that I can go and see this dog today, because then I will have enough money for petrol. And without exception, when I get to that client, he or she will say, oh, I'm so sorry, I can't pay you today. Is it okay if I pay later? And then I remember, right, I'm not here to get money. I'm here to meet the dog. And Marion Rosen had exactly the same experience. We talked about this. And she also said that people told her that you need to raise your prices, because you are Marion Rosen. Your students charge more than you. You have to stop acting like this. And it's the same for me. My students charge more than me. And I see that as a good sign actually at this point. Yeah. But anyway, and then she said, okay, I will show you what will happen. So she raised her prices, and within a week, her washing machine and her dishwasher broke down at the same time.
Wow.
And then she said, see what happens? I get more expenses. But also because she had raised her prices for that period of time, she could actually afford to fix those machines. And
so it's a cycle.
Yes, and when she had done that, she went back to have her low prices again.
It's so true, actually, when you think about it. Because there's a lot of people who make a lot of money, but then they spend a lot as well.
Yeah. So I think if you try to work on this trust economy, which is hard because trust is a hard subject, and we mix it with safety, which is the opposite. It works, and it will give you what you need, but it will not give you anything more.
No, and not in the way that you think necessarily.
No,
either.
Exactly.
You can't plan it. Because I tend to be a bit of a planner. Like I like it in my mind to know how it's going to figure out. And it always does figure out. But I'd like to be able to just really let go of that. Yeah.
I think we can at times, but it's difficult. It is a difficult practice. But so far it has worked because, it is practically impossible. One person can't have all these many animals and have this profession. And I have 2 kids. And it works. Even if it doesn't work always, but it works enough for it to be able to continue.
Yeah. And I think it's what you consider to be important as well. Because I kind of have a concern about maintaining the vehicles and things like that we can't afford to do. But then they work. And I think obviously the universe doesn't feel that that's necessary. So
no. And I also, I'm thinking about greed as well. And because we all learn that, we need to charge more money because otherwise people will not see your work as valuable. And I get to hear that it's because I have a low self-esteem and because I am a woman. And I listened to this, for years I listened to this, and I felt that perhaps people are right. I know that I don't have a very strong self-esteem, and I am a woman after all. And perhaps they are right. And then one morning I was like, but hang on a minute. Why does no one ever question the greedy ones? Why don't they never tell this rich businessman that, well, we see that you charge more than what you need. And because of that, you're actually helping to create a major global imbalance in poverty. And this tends to happen a little bit more to men. And perhaps you have a self-esteem that is a little bit blown up, and perhaps you need to go and see a therapist.
Because our society values that.
Yes. So I was just thinking that, okay, unless someone tells that to the one who is overcharging, then I'm actually not going. I decide not to listen to this advice and continue with having a price that makes it affordable to anyone. Not just for, it shouldn't be exclusive.
No, I don't like that idea of exclusivity, because then as well, you're attracting a particular type of people.
Yeah.
Not always, but
And also, I meet animals that describe that in order to receive something, you must give something. But that's not the same as trade. It's like we think that if I trade, I pay you this amount, and then I can expect this back from you because we have tied each other into this deal. Yeah, and if I would charge a lot of money for the courses, then people would expect me to deliver something, and I would expect me to deliver something.
Yes.
And that would put us in a position towards each other that would probably make it quite impossible as a concept.
I think that's that's where we need to go as a society, where we just take the money out of it. Like, wouldn't it be amazing if we could everything was offered, everything. So nothing had to have like this monetary, because money's not even a real concept. No. It's like something false. It's not about who you are or what you're truly offering, or
no, it's sort of maintaining. It's like collecting the horse.
Yeah,
we maintain enough energy to trust that we have enough when we need it. And I think research shows that the best for our health is to have a situation where we are capable of earning enough money to be able to do something extra, what we dream of or what we want to give. But we need to do something for it. If we can't have that, if we are so poor that it's always a struggle to just survive, then money becomes a huge issue and it makes us very unhappy, obviously. But also if we have much more than what we need, so we never have to experience the value of it, that also makes us very unhappy.
Yeah. Unless I suppose there are some people who put back, or they feel like they channel their money back in a way that makes them happy. But I don't really know that much about.
No, I think there is definitely a subject here that matters. Because I know that if I would begin by calculating how many animals I would afford to keep, I wouldn't have this many.
No.
Surely. But the horses here always said that this place is being carried by many small good deeds or many small good intentions. So I believe more in many people giving a little bit, and that's how we fund enough money to pay for our hay. Rather than sort of trying to collect as much money as possible and thereby excluding very many people from being able to participate. And then what is a small amount for someone can be quite a big amount for someone else, depending on what they have. So with that concept also, some people have over the years been extremely generous and really helped us when we need that. So it's that as well. But perhaps that would never have happened if we would have created a system that would kind of presume that to happen.
And it sort of changes the potential of the universe, that it can just happen in these beautiful ways that you would never have thought of. Or it is a powerful thing. That feels most natural to me, but then I always have this pressure in my mind about like not being a proper business and not not doing it all properly like that. And I've been going a bit into that more. Like I tend to go in to the whole strategy thing, and then I think I just don't like this, I don't resonate at all, and I back right out of it again, and then
No, I think it's for me because the farm is run by charity and taxed as charity. And the work I do when I go outside to help people, or the courses we have, that is being taxed as a business. Because somehow this non-linear time concept needs to, what we're trying to do in a way is to get glimpses of this, like you say, this other reality, this what is possible. But we need to change it within what is here. So we bring those glimpses down and we try to turn it into a new foundation in a way. And that side of it needs to fit into our systems. Because otherwise the systems will never change. And depending on what country you live in and what rules you have to play by, then you have to try to find ways in that. But that's not the same as marketing yourself and push yourself through and and be on the sort of competition with other similar businesses. And you never really need to go into all of that. just because you sort of tax your money in a way that actually some of it goes back to society.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
that's not a bad thought. We need to contribute to society.
Yes.
As much as we can, and we're not meant to be outside of it.
No.
But we don't need to go into the belief system of that I need to be tough and strong to be able to run a business, because that would most likely go against everything you stand for.
It's exactly what it is. It's just that the way we think about it really always gets in the way of just what is and the flow of it. Yeah. I did want to ask you one thing. A very dear friend of mine does, or she's a Sufi. I don't know if she would want to be labelled in that way, but it's the easiest way to ask you the question. And she heard you talking about that. Do you have a connection with that?
Yeah,
with Sufism?
I went to Jordan. My connection with Sufism is in Jordan.
Oh yes, Jordan.
And I never thought that my path would go into any sort of Islamic area, because all that I've seen about Islam has been on the national news.
Not the best. Not the best
really
aspect.
Where you look for a sort of non-dominant way of living in the world. So to my surprise, I ended up in Jordan.
Wow.
And there I met people that followed, there are different Sufi traditions, but to me it was really a sort of homecoming feeling in a way. Wow. Because those people that I met there, they could phrase a lot of my experiences. The expansion of the self to include something more. And this very strong love for this creation. They don't describe so much that you want to go somewhere else, or that you want to finish, or they have this very sort of life-giving, very passionate way to practice their religion in a way that made a lot of sense to me. Like lots of things that I've heard from animals actually got a human voice after I met those people. So that's for me, amazing. Sufism, and especially their poetry, has been a great, and is a great help, really.
It is such a beautiful. She does this friend of mine, she does transmissions from the animals. She has a herd, and but from all animals, and they are amazing. It's just like a different level of being able to use words. She calls them word vehicles to kind of express, just to express reality. Wow. And it's amazing. Like she does gatherings, and it tends to be quite late our time. So I just kind of go into this other place, and it's not sleeping. It's just like into that other, consciousness where you're just like absorbing it. And it's really beautiful.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. Like the human way in, I suppose, because it's not about the intellectual at all.
No, it's not. That's very much from the heart, actually.
Yeah. So good. Well, it's been amazing talking to you.
Yeah, thank you.
I think I heard something that you were doing a fundraiser for the farm.
Yes, we are full on into the farm where we live is quite small, so that's sort of winter homes for half of the horses and most of the other animals. And then we rent fields actually in all over the area, because there's so many. So it is growing bigger and bigger, and it's way out of control. And that is always
helpers?
Yes, we do. We have people coming in and help, and a whole sort of system for that too. Not as many people as you might think, but still enough to make it possible.
To keep it going,
And but then things changed because biodiversity is not really interesting for our politicians anymore. Now we need to get our electricity bills down, because when we're not using oil as much and we refuse to change our lifestyle, we need to use electricity instead. So we need to produce electricity. So before, the farmers would be happy to let our animals graze their paddocks or their huge fields, because they would get a grant from the government for keeping the landscape open and for biodiversity. And now they want sort of solar panel parks instead, and they are of course good in many ways, but perhaps not in the grazing fields. If you think about it in a wider context. And then also because Sweden is cutting down so many trees, our carbon monoxide figures are not correct in the European Union. So instead of not cutting down so many trees, we decide to replant them instead.
So that takes more.
Yes, so
more
now we're planting
land.
trees in the grazing lands. So it's very short-sighted system that we're in at the moment. So we're losing grazing fields, and on top of that, the biggest grazing fields that we have, that farm is up for sale. So all of that happens now. And first you think that, this is hopeless. We just have to give up. We have to have less animals. This is never going to work. All the catastrophe thoughts. But then some of the students were like, but why don't we try to raise money to buy this farm instead? And if we can't raise enough money to buy this particular farm, perhaps we can at least raise enough money to buy some land. And what if we can buy some land? What if we then turn it into a foundation? And if we turn it into a foundation, it means that the land can be self-owned. It can be owned by its own values. And we take away the personal, private ownership. And then it starts to become interesting. So that's what we're doing now, is that because this farm is for sale now, and the latest date to deliver a bid on it is the last of April. And we have raised a lot of money, actually, and if we sort of really do all we can towards the end, we will be able to at least place a bid. Then it's up to the sellers if they choose us or not, because that part we can't control. If there is a higher bidder or whatever it could be. But then we know that we have the capacity to come together like this, and from all over the world, actually. And so either it will be this farm or another piece of land that will somehow show itself along the way. And we're in this complicated process with the legal system. How do we turn it into a foundation? Because there are so many strict regulations in Sweden, particularly in how to do that. So, but one of the governmental offices that we're in contact with said that, well, this has never happened before in Sweden, but we think you might have a small chance. So we're hoping for this small chance of making a piece of land not owned by a person in that sense, and that will last into the future and past my lifetime.
That would be amazing, wouldn't it?
So that's the sort of next step in when we talked about maintaining the space. That okay, so horses that come here, their contract is put on me because I have all the sort of legal papers to have the right to have these animals. But since I don't believe in ownership, it means that they have their own voice. So what if we would do that to a piece of land? And it's not tied to a person. It's tied to a legal form that takes it out of that concept. What would happen to what will then happen to the space we create for nature to be able to show itself? Because we don't know that yet.
Maybe that's one of your purposes here, to bring that into being like that.
I think so. At least now it feels like that. And the fact that we must be so many to be able to do it, it also means that it can never be a one-man show. It can never be something that you can claim to be yours.
Exactly.
It
not
has
about that.
No, it's not about that, and that's the beauty of it. So what began as a crisis, and it still will be a crisis if we don't find enough grass, but what I think is that it's probably a road, that the road takes us in another direction.
Yes, it's bringing this possibility into reality.
Because as we said before, I would never make that effort if I wasn't forced to. Then I would just continue with whatever I was doing before.
So true. God, it's so beautiful how the universe works, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's just amazing.
And we sort of cry and
I know
scream
we can't see it.
We see something completely different all the time, really.
Did you find it difficult to become a charity?
No, not really.
I've
actually,
into that.
To become a charity, I guess that depends on what country you're into. But becoming a charity it's more a sort of just bureaucratic form that wasn't complicated for us. The complication seemed to be here, or the interesting gap to bridge is to turn the ownership out of the sort of to take that away from the human.
Wow. That's so cool, though. I love it. Yeah, it is amazing. Well, I would love to do another one in the future. To see,
yes,
because I feel
definitely.
like we've got so much in common and so much to talk about. Yeah,
definitely. Really, it's funny that we didn't speak before.
I know, because you're not too far away, really.
And you are in France?
Yeah, the south of France. Yeah. I'm originally Scottish. My dad's French.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah.
Because there are sort of some Scottish
little kind of accent.
Melodies.
Yeah, we were kind of nearest to Edinburgh, so it's more of an Edinburgh accent. But my husband's Californian, so I think I've picked up a little bit of the American thing.
It's good that we're getting mixed.
Yeah.
We need to get mixed.
It helps with the mental pathways. Yeah. Well, thank you so much again. It's really been wonderful.
Thank you.